Hey, what's up, Cashflow hackers? It's Chris. I just finished going through and doing a really cool video on my board here talking about infinite banking, simplifying infinite banking. I think too many people make it more complicated than it needs to be. There are really three types of people in this world. My question to you is, which one are you? You're gonna know by the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned to the end. Hey, what's going on, Cashflow hackers? It's Chris, Life 180. This video, we're gonna be talking about infinite banking. My goal in this video is to simplify infinite banking as much as possible. I know a lot of people talk about infinite banking. It becomes overly complicated. And I think one of the most important components of this, and if you're a life insurance agent, I think you need to understand how to communicate infinite banking in the simplest way possible to be able to have the most positive impact on the people that you're trying to serve. And I think if you're on the other side of the aisle and you are somebody who's looking as a consumer to figure out how would infinite banking potentially play into your life, I think it's going to be a really beneficial video for you to watch to really understand just the simple nature of the problems infinite banking solves, what infinite banking ultimately is, and ultimately how it might fit into your life. So behind me here, you can see I've got a little board. I've got it going on. Infinite banking. So what is it? Let's simplify it. Ultimately, infinite banking is not a product. I think it's important for people to understand infinite banking is a system. It's a philosophy. It's a strategy. Now, in order to implement that strategy properly, you need to make sure you have the right tools in place. It's kind of like if you're going to go play baseball, you better bring a baseball bat and not a soccer ball, right? So you got to have the right tools in place at the right time, and you got to make sure that you build them properly. And so everybody talks about whole life insurance. You got to buy an infinite banking policy. Well, it's like the policy doesn't make it infinite banking. You make it become infinite banking. The policy is the policy. The policy is just a financial asset that provides certain attributes and benefits. And there needs to be, you need to be able to check all the boxes that attribute, that asset provides you, right? And so that's the biggest thing I can say as far as that goes. Now, you got to use a properly designed whole life insurance because it's the only product in the world that will give you the attributes that you need. And I've got a lot of videos on that. Like I said, I'm going to keep this very simple, and I don't want to get into all those attributes for this video. If at the end of this video, you kind of say, hey, I need more information, I will put the infinite banking playlist on the end screen, and you can do a deep dive research to your heart's content and keep the educational journey going. For this video, I want to make sure that you understand that that infinite banking is not a product, it's a financial system, right? So it's a system. You have to use a properly designed whole life insurance policy, and your money. The reason you're going to do infinite banking is because you're going to get your dollar to perform multiple jobs for you. It's going to be a savings account on steroids. Your money's going to grow, meaning you're going to get a rate of return. It's going to at least keep up with inflation from a long-term perspective, and we need to think long-term. You're going to get a life insurance death benefit, which is fantastic because most of us have a need or a desire or a want for life insurance in some way, shape, or form, even if you haven't put a lot of thought into it. And ultimately, my favorite one is because it's going to help you operate more efficiently in your financial life, and that's a big thing. So you can see here, and the reason I say that is because most people are here, and I'm just going to eliminate that and rewrite it here, because most people think about the fact that, like, hey, if we look at this, we think of our world as a bucket of water. Your money. Imagine if you have leaks in your bucket of water. Does it make sense to keep pouring more water into that bucket? Or does it make sense to plug the holes before you put more water into it? Now, I could turn the faucet on the fullest, fastest capacity that I could possibly do, but if the bottom line is if the holes in the bucket are there, well, that's just a waste of money, or waste of water. I'm going to put water in, it's going to trickle out, and that's what's happening in most people's lives. And so what we do is we say, hey, let's plug these holes. Let's just plug these babies up. And that's what infinite banking is going to do. It's going to help you operate more efficiently. And it becomes about volume. It's not about the rate of return that you have. And this is the thing that people need to understand in their financial life. We've been duped and conditioned that you need to take a small percentage of your income, invest it, chase high returns, and hopefully that will get the results in your life so you can retire with dignity and maintain your standard of living. But most people are not able to do that, so the system is failing. What I'm going to show you is that you can have your cake and eat it too. You can actually save money by shifting your buyer behavior, shifting your habits by understanding how to recapture money by plugging the holes, stop losing money unknowingly and unnecessarily in life in different ways. And what I want to do to be able to illustrate this for you, like I said, I'm going to do my best to keep this as simple as possible. What I want to do to be able to illustrate this to you is show you the story of two people. And so what we have here is we have, let's just call him the Dave Ramseyite, because I can't help myself. I'm just going to call it Dave Ramsey follower. This is Cash is King, okay? So this is the Cash is King, and then we have your average American down here. Debt, right, is everything. And so here's the deal. When we look at this, I want to make sure that we go through this. So when we look at this, what does the average American do? What is happening in the world of personal finance in America is that people don't save. There's not enough money saved, and that's a whole different video for another conversation. Check out my Life 180 Pyramid video if you want. But there's not enough money saved, so what do people do? They want a car, they want a house, they want a boat, they want to go on a vacation. What do? They go into debt, they put it on a credit card, they get a loan for it, they do whatever. And so they go into debt, and then they spend time paying interest, and so there's interest expense, and that is what it is. Like, you're paying the interest expense, and that's bad. Now, obviously, there's risk involved in having debt as well. Not only do you have cost involved in debt, so there's money, there's an expense to debt, but there's also risk, because if the market risk happens, if let's say you lost your job in year 2, you lost your job in year 3 or year 4, if you started in year 1 right here, and you don't have this paid for and you can't afford it, well then that's when cars get repossessed, that's when houses get foreclosed on, that's when things like this happen. Especially as we're heading into economic times like we are today, this is what happens. And so this is like, let's just think about this, use it as an example for a car, okay? And I'm just gonna, because it's easier to talk about just one asset for you. And the reason I'm bringing this up for you, because if you can understand what I'm about to teach you, you're gonna understand how you can recapture over $200,000 of your income simply, of cash, I should say, for retirement planning or for whatever you need ultimately over the lifespan, depending on how old you are. But I'm assuming you have about a 30, 35 year window here in this example at least. But I want to show you how you can recapture money simply in the way that you make purchases that you're going to make anyways. And I want to compare them to the two normal ways. So this is car number 1, car number 2, car number 3, 4, 5. And I guess I should go out and do 6, but for 30 years. But let's just say it's 5 years each, 25 years, just for fun. It'll be what it'll be. Now, what is the option? So we know the risks are here. We know that debt is bad. We know that the reason people do this is because they don't delay gratification, and that is what it is. So that's why America's in such bad shape, right? Like, I don't think I need to convince anybody of this, right? So now this is where Dave Ramsey comes in, and that's why, listen, Dave is good for people that want to remain middle class but want to be a little more secure along the way, right? Like, that's really what it comes down to. And so why do I say that? Because listen, he says, listen, go buy a beater car. Go buy a beater car. Get for a couple $1,000, buy a beater car. And while you're driving that car, save up money. And when you get to this point in time where you have enough money, then pay cash for your car, okay? And then now you'll get a second car, but luckily you'll be driving the nicer car because you just bought it. But the bottom line is, if you don't save, if you don't continually save at this point in time, while you're driving your second car, you're going to get to the end of this point in time, and you're going to have a beater again, right? You're going to be out of money, and you're going to have your car, but you're either going to keep driving that car or you're going to wind up being a debtor again, right? You're going to go back down there and you're going to fall back into the other camp. So you have to keep saving money. It's not really a cash flow thing. It's just an efficiency thing, because one way or the other, whether you own the car or whether you're financing the car, you still better be putting money away for that car every month, one way or the other, because otherwise you're going to get to the end of owning that car and you're going to need to do something drastically different than you're doing right now, right? And so this is the problem. So what happens at the end of your car too, you will buy another car, you've saved up, hopefully, and this is just Dave's philosophy. Just keep saving, keep spending, keep saving, pay cash, keep spending, keep saving, whatever. Now, here's the deal. I'm not going to debate this, because Dave is right. You are definitely more secure on this side of the divide, right? Of this zero. Now this is zero, right? This is the baseline, $0 right here, right? Do you notice at the end of this car buying cycle, whether it's 1, 2, 5 cars, they both wind up at the same place. Now, once again, you're in better, more secure position, less risk, whatever. And granted, at this point in time, what do you have? You have a car. At the end of this day, you have a car. And in this one, if you want to keep driving the car, you could keep driving your 5th car and you could have a little more cash. There's no doubt about it. But let's assume you want to buy another car. You're just going to keep doing this into perpetuity, and you wind up at the same place, whether you're a debtor or a saver. That's why I always tell people, if you follow Dave Ramsey's advice, you're just going to be middle class in a more secure way. It's never going to help you get to anywhere significant. And now, this is the core problem that I have with personal finance and traditional personal financial coaching like Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman and stuff like that. What I love to talk about is this concept, we call wealth creation. Wealth creation concept, right? So wealth creation concept is saying, okay, listen, we're combining the two things, and this is infinite banking to a T right here. And it's utilizing whole life insurance, right? And what is the difference? What is the fundamental difference between the above the line versus below the line, right? The fundamental difference is delayed gratification, right? Delayed gratification. And if you delay gratification, that means you're willing to, drive something a little less than to save up, right? And as you save up, rather than spending cash, because when we spend cash, let's talk about this principle really quick. There's a thing called opportunity cost. Okay? Opportunity cost is saying when I spend that cash, not only do I spend that cash, but I lose what that money would be able to earn me for the rest of my life. If you want to create anything in life of any significance, you better understand the concept of opportunity cost. And if you don't understand it, I promise you're always going to have a hard time getting ahead. That is one of the most important foundational understandings that you need to have. And so when we get down here, what we're doing is we're saying we're combining the philosophies, right? We're saying, okay, I get it. We need to save. We need to delay gratification. That is an absolute great foundational understanding that Dave Ramsey teaches that I love, that I think people need to understand. We need to delay gratification. We need to be disciplined. We need to save money. But then when he gets into debt is bad, not all debt is bad. Not all debt is bad. If I could get a 1.9% car loan, for instance, and earn 4 or 5% of my money on a guaranteed basis, why would I not do that? Like it's just because I just showed you by paying cash and having debt, we wind up in the same place no matter what. But if I could operate, remember when I got into the beginning, infinite banking helps you become more financially efficient. This is what I'm talking about. So if we can never interrupt the compounding and take advantage of opportunity cost, then that's what's all about. And so when we get into this is where it gets really fun. We're implementing the combination, the best of both worlds, the debtor, the saver, and when we combine both of those strategies together with an infinite banking concept and by utilizing whole life insurance as a foundational cornerstone asset in our life, that's where it becomes infinite banking based on your ability to execute. Remember, if we're saving, and by the way, we're saving in a whole life policy this whole time, right? All the way up. That's just a whole life policy. That's just a savings account on steroids. That's just an asset for you to utilize in your life. It only becomes infinite banking as soon as you start leveraging it and using it. That's when it becomes infinite banking. It's your use. That's why I always tell people the policy, the whole life policy, is only as good and as powerful as the person who's in control of it. The beautiful part about it is when you have a whole life policy right here, you have control. This is what it is all about. If you ask any wealthy person at all, what is the number one attribute you're looking for in an asset? And it's control, number one. Because control creates opportunity. Control gives you the flexibility that no matter what's happening in any economic environment, you can be nimble, right? Most people have their money in 401ks, right? And they're stuck there in qualified accounts. It's kind of like being on the Titanic heading towards an iceberg, right? When you have a whole life policy, you may not go as fast as the Titanic. You may not do be as lavish or whatever. It may not feel as extravagant as being on the Titanic, but then when you're heading towards an iceberg, you can be in a motorboat instead of the Titanic, and you can weave in and out, and you can bob, and weave and make it work and find opportunities and hopefully rescue some people along the way when the iceberg crashes, but like the Titanic. But anyway, that was 100+ years ago. I could joke about it, right? So we could see here, here's the deal. When we look at this, we got car number 1, right? But here's the deal. When we look at that, now I'm going to use this color. There's a slight increase at the end. So we're going to have more capital in our policy once we paid this back, right? So we're going into debt. We're leveraging the money that we save, but we never interrupt the compounding. That is the power of infinite banking. Now, I could do this over and over and over. And as I do it, I'm going to borrow against it. That's car number 2, car number 3, car number 4, 5. And I guess I went out a little further on this, but let's go 7, 5 years. That's 35-year period just for this, since it's going. Now you can see that every stage, it becomes a little more efficient. There's little staircases up. By the time I pay it back, remember, it doesn't look like a lot, but if you can focus on just being more efficient with every decision that you make, more efficient with the way that all the money that rolls through our life. Remember, you're never going to get rich buying depreciating assets like cars. You're never going to get rich taking vacations. But if you're going to buy that car anyway, right? So I'm saying, don't go buy a $60,000 car thinking about this, right? Being like, hey, I'm going to make all this money on my car. No, if you were going to buy that $60,000 car anyway because you can't afford it and you did delay gratification and it fits into your financial goals, then buy the $60,000 car. Just do it the most efficient way possible. If you're going to buy a $20,000 car or $30,000, whatever fits into your life, no judgment, whatever, buy it the most efficient way possible. That's what I'm talking about. Don't think, that you're going to go buy a more expensive car that's outside of your financial positioning and standing, and this is gonna save you and make you money. Like, that's one of the more misunderstood things. But here's the deal. As we look at this, we can see it gets better. There's little incremental bumps. But here's the deal. Over a 7-year window, it's a big jump, right? Now, when you do this over time, because of the fact that you never interrupted compounding here, what does compounding do? Hockey stick effect growth, right? The longer you let it go, you need time and consistency. The problem with most people is they're taking a small percentage of their income. They're taking a lot of risk. The more risk you take, the greater your chances of loss. You interrupt compounding. So if we can do this and get guaranteed growth, have guaranteed control of our money, and utilize this as a foundational framework in our life, that's what's going to help us get to where we want on a more predictable basis. Now, I'm not going to say that you can get where you want to go without taking risk. Probably have to take risks. That's why I love real estate. That's why I love utilizing this. I'm showing you this example with a car that's a depreciating asset where the asset itself is worth little to nothing at the end of the time frame that I pay it back every time. Imagine if we did this with real estate. That's what cash flow hacking is all about. Where not only do we have more money at the end of it, right? At the end of each period when we pay it back, when we pay the loan back, when we have that all set up, not only do we have that, but now imagine, and I'm going to do this, I'll figure out if I can make this work, but imagine if now when we pay it back, the asset, oh wow, that's small. The asset is actually worth more, right? Imagine if this was real estate, right? If this is real estate, we borrow against it and we're paying it back, and it's obviously going to be a longer period of time, but imagine then if by the time we paid it back, the real estate was worth more money, right? And so we have the foundational account value that's going over here, but now we have another asset up here that's growing in value at the same time. So we got now 2 streams of income happening, and that is the power of combining infinite banking, the strategy of infinite banking with cash flowing, producing assets by investing in your businesses and building those up and creating cash flow in businesses and real estate, and whether it's single family home, buy and hold long-term or short-term rentals, it doesn't really matter. But this is the concept. This, guys, like I said, I'm gonna keep this simple, keep it straightforward. This is infinite banking, is going from right now, I promise you, you are one of these 2 people. If you're watching this video and you don't know what I'm talking about, you are one of these 2 things. My encouragement to you is stop being one of those 2 things and become this. And what it's going to do is it's going to help you have more money guaranteed on a predictable basis over the rest of your life. And you can do so by having more control over the variables in your life. And ultimately, that's what it's all about. If that's not appealing to you, I don't know how to help you. You're probably on the wrong channel. So that's it. So anyway, I hope that helps. If you have any questions at all, reach out, let me know. You can go down in the description below and you can set up a call with one of the people on my team. They're happy to help you out, give you clarity, answer any questions. Also, if you want to learn how to design a policy like this, once again, it's not going to be infinite banking, but if you're going to do infinite banking, you need to know how to design it properly. So if you're going to do that, you can text IBC for infinite banking concept. So text IBC to 26786. IBC to 26786. I'll put it down in the description as well, but text IBC to 26786. It'll share a video with you. It'll walk you through a process, and I'll send you some content via text message that I think is going to add a lot of value into your life. It's going to answer a lot of questions for you. And that's it. Hope it serves you. As you know, I try to do with all my videos. Hopefully you got a lot of value out of this. If you haven't already, make sure you like this video, share it out, please, because it really helps the algorithm. I think this is a key video that a lot of people need to understand, that most people, overly complicate this, and it doesn't need to be complicated. So anyway, hope that helps. If you have any questions, comment in the comment section below. Till next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon.